Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my ReCore video walkthrough. This is Mission 23, Eden Tower, Floor 2. So you'll notice I've magically gone up to 45 prismatic orbs. I wonder how that happened. It's almost like I might have a video logging almost all of those orb acquisitions, but now that we have enough to get through every floor, we're going to take on the tower. Victor is going to taunt you every step of the way, and this particular tower is quite heavy, it seems at the moment, on these circular energy force fields which rekindle your ability to jump. So you can use all your air and moves, that sound like some kind of crazy German future world. No, all the air moves that you can do, which is 2 jumps, a dash, and the glider man thing, all of those will be refreshed by entering through these force fields. And you want to use them intelligently to get enough distance to cover to wherever the next part is. And now we're on these flipping pads and occasional cock-blocking laser walls of doom. And the checkpoints here are very kind, so if you fall off, you don't really get punished that much. And the loads are great because it's one of those instanced areas that doesn't take 40 minutes to put you back in the game. But you'll notice I've brought the flyer on potentially, I think it might be on Mac, and then I've brought Seth as well. And I've done this because there's a jump on floor 5 that I do not think you can make without the flyer, and that's the only reason I've took Duncan out. I've chose Seth over Duncan because Duncan's life is lower and his defense is lower, his damage is better, but Seth is just, he's the dude who sits around firing missiles and never dying, and I feel like that's a really good thing to have. The only fear of your buddy is him getting picked up by those flying things that isolate your helper, and if that happens, you have to do it, because if you don't deal with it, you're in trouble. Interesting, I got a 30 combo here. Oh, look at that! I could have so easily done a 40 combo then and had that achievement, but I missed it somehow. I let my combo atrophy. That's really, really sucky. That would have been awesome. But, you know, I don't think that's going to be a very difficult achievement to get when I go back, but I'm not going back to this game until they patch the loading, so I'm very excited to see what that patch is like. And then I'm probably going to stream a bunch of it as I do certain things, because it's a pretty chill game. I think it's a good game to just interact with the stream with, as we take on some of these multicoloured looking flying dudes. And I wonder, do you think the green guys were originally an affinity on the weapon that you had, but then they decided to take it out at last minute because they realised that they didn't have enough time or budget to continue to develop the affinity system? I don't know. Or maybe there was once a point where the game gave you the ability to combine 2 affinities to make a different colour, so you had to use colour theory and colour understanding to know what colours blend with others to make other colours. And, like, how long has it been since you were at school where they taught you all that shit? I can't remember that shit. I'm terrible for that kind of stuff. How do you make purple? I don't know. You know, you had this, you had that, you know. How do you make green? What is it, yellow and blue? There could have been legitimate puzzle solving to it, and if you're stupid like I am, you'd have to look that shit up to have a recollection course of all the lessons you learned when you were younger. Because it's one of those things where, thanks to Photoshop and that tipette thing that lets you just pick colours and stuff and just move that circle around that massive colour chart, I never have to mix colours ever again because I don't paint. You know? So it's one of those skills that you just lose. Like, I can remember when I was younger, and of course technology was a bit different then, so in our house we had a coal fire, and to make a coal fire you had to have paper, you had to screw it up properly, you had to chop wood, you had to place it properly, you had to put coal down, and you had to layer it in just a way so that it would last and it would do its job. And it was a thing that men did, like manly men were sat down with their fathers and the fathers before them, and they were shown how to make this fire. And I was so excited as a younger person to make my own fire in my own house, and nowadays we don't even use that shit. It's a really funny thing of, you know, this rite of passage to become a man involved making this fire that I saw my dad make every other day, and I went out and watched him chop wood and everything, and now you just flick a switch, don't you? It's become so bloody easy because we don't really use coal that often. A lot of it is electric and gas and what have you, and we've got central heating now and all that stuff. And it's just crazy where you have these skills that you learn when you're younger and then you never use them and you never need to, but if you do, I hope you remember, because I probably won't. But how many opportunities do you really have to make a fire? And I'm not talking like fiddling wood in the forest, because hopefully there's a smoker with you and he's got his lighter. That just makes that shit easy. I'm not Bear Grylls. I don't need that in my life. That's too much stress. You know, I'm not a Navajo Indian. I don't even know what Navajo Indians do these days. Don't they run casinos and earn lots of money and shit? Insert stereotype about a culture of people that doesn't exist in my country. I've just offended everybody who is of that culture now. Like those people who wear the YMCA outfit on Halloween and get really, really, you know, don't realise they're offending an entire culture of people, because those headdresses are apparently a massive thing. It's like a status thing, isn't it? In whatever you call that. I don't know what it is. I'll just call you Chief. Which is probably also inappropriate, but I've dug a hole now. I might as well lay in it. But this is the fighting area once again. We're up against another sequence of coloured ape-like robots. He's stunned. He's being perma-stunned, and then we're hitting him with the lasers, and I'm swapping between my buddies, and I just fell off, which is wonderful. So this arena has environmental hazards, which is kind of cool. If you remember earlier, I was talking about how they could have managed environmental hazards into the gameplay and made it kind of interesting. But there's one thing they needed to do if they were going to do that, and that is, of course, take the camera away from being up Jules' ass. They have to pull out. If you don't pull the camera out, you can't see these things unless you're looking for them, and if you spend the entire time locked on, the camera's going to be one set specific position. And I don't mind where the camera is, but when it comes to environmental hazards, it can be tricky to see them when you're in the heat of battle. And that's not the only hazard here. Do you see those things popping out of the ground? They are those mines that will blow up, and they have really big radiuses, but you can instantly get rid of them by anchoring them. And you'll notice here, we're getting hit by a lot of the fires. And it's one of my critiques of the fire attack. When you start getting hit by it, it can be difficult to get out of it. Because that's how this game works. It loves to stun you. I'm so glad that... Wow, look at that. Have you seen that move before? You don't see that often. I'm getting bullied. Where's my buddy? Can you see my buddy? Oh, he's just over there. I don't know why I didn't change to Seth, because the blue thing just doesn't seem to be doing much. There we go, Seth's in. Come on, Seth, do your job. You're a beast. So just combining attacks, swapping between my buddies to do the transition attack. Massive damage, such a great ability. We pulled it back and we got his life back, but it looked a bit hairy, didn't it? So here is a guy who is that technically orange, but yellow does great damage to him. I think both yellow and red would have done good damage there. And then the green guy is the colours that make green, which is it blue and yellow? Dude, I'm so bad with my colours, it's not even funny. I've been made weaker by Photoshop. Photoshop is so good for that. And it makes me remember too, I remember playing on Paint when I was younger, on the first computer I ever went on, and thinking that it was just amazing. And if you think about Paint now, it's really suffered in contrast to some of the other design softwares you can use. And it's not because it's bad, it's just because it, you know, it was kind of an add-on to Windows that they created, and it's like, look, you can draw and shit, this is cool, right? This is a good idea. And then people just took that idea and went on to make awesome things with it. Because if it wasn't for Paint, we probably wouldn't have Photoshop, so I suppose we've got to be grateful to the system. And for all I know, Paint nowadays is like incredibly complicated and all awesome and new and a rival to Photoshop. It's just, I haven't used it in so long. To me, I just think of like not even being able to draw a straight line because of the way the pixels work, so everything looks jaggy and in need of anti-aliasing, which if you zoom in close enough on almost every object, that's how they look, but it can be more difficult to see when you're not so, you know, painty. But this is the final aspect of this particular dungeon, of this floor, and it's a couple of